CNN reporters and Fox anchors, and I mean, you name it, because they're all owned by 6 companies in the end, which are all, well, who's major stockholder in those big 6? Who is at the top of the list of those, and you'll kind of be able to figure out, well, okay, so these people have lots and lots of money, right? Oh, the Federal Reserve. Wait. Who's the Federal? Oh, yeah, Federal Reserve. Yeah, that's right. Conglomeration of banks. What banks? Oh, shit, that's a big list of banks. Wow. Wait, oh my God, they're in that kind. Holy shit, they're there too? Oh, Russia kicked them bastards out. Huh. Yeah, I wonder why that side would be doing everything that they could to paint Russia as the evil red menace. Yeah, well, that is yippity-yay. But anyway, bottom line is, there is no way, because of the overlap in activity, that if you were that wealthy and had that much of the world's interests, whether they be white, black, or gray, you would be somehow indictable under RICO. There's just no question. You can't be that powerful and not be. So I kind of see the overlapping into the Federal Reserve, the banks that particularly own the Federal Reserve and those who own controlling interests there, and I think it's going to cut really deep into the profiteers. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to make this argument, and I would argue this, and I think that Ben Shapiro would have a difference of opinion, or, well, I think most people would have a difference of opinion, but I think that this is objectively kind of more fair than what someone who has a little bit more political leaning than myself would say. But there is a problem with generational wealth when that generational wealth is wielded by families and groups and different corporations and incorporations and associations and brotherhoods and sisterhoods and all the euphemistic beauty that can be sought out through a thesaurus. When these different entities use their money and influence, and like I said, John Rockefeller, John E., I think, or whatever, or maybe it was Junior or Third, I don't know. Anyway, the one who was instrumental in the inception of the Council on Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission. I went through a bunch of them on my last podcast, but seeing the strata of, so the CFR in well, let's go, you could go to Majestic 12, all these things. It's an incredible spitball of just, strands going everywhere, leading to this, connecting to that. It's just, this is a web that, like I said, I mean, the Matteries in the Ludlum books had nothing on these guys, man. But if you look at what created what and what influences what and what, who is really in charge, or who has at least a hell of a lot of say, invariably there are certain families that have been clearly instrumental over the generations, making it easier to increasingly centralize wealth and, using, well, like I said, the Rockefeller, or John Rockefeller's quote about, he is a globalist and proud of it, which I'm fine with globalism if it were a populist globalism, but the banking and business and corporate globalism that the supposed New World Order, but I mean certainly Rockefeller himself was in favor of, is more the Nazi-topian conglomeration of the state and the financial industry, kind of coexisting, but if anything, the financial industry having more power. It's like Rockefeller said, it doesn't matter, you can put anyone in charge you want, but give him control of the money supply, and that's what he was after, because that's where the real power is. Now, when you have, you look at how it's the power belongs only with those massive elites, so far as this conspiracy theory is concerned, well, that would then kind of, I guess, the funds associated with these banks would then, the Federal Reserve would come under that too. It would have to. There's really no getting around it. And then if the Federal Reserve came under that, man, there'd be corporations, some of these greedy bastard corporations that have gone overly insane in what they've been doing, fleecing people. I think medical, if you think that anyone in the world, if you believe that there's a justification for charging 500,000, I shouldn't say charging, I should say billing $500,000 for a procedure that lasts under an hour, and then there is care provided for the next 3 days, and that costs $500,000. If you believe that there is not a problem with that figure, I would love for you to try to convince me of that. I really would, because the only thing that I think you could compare it to is a huge boxing match. Something where, this is, I get it. Doctors are in need, but I will argue anyone that universal health care, if you ask enough questions and get to the bottom and you take the right approach, universal health care is the best economic option that the United States has. However, if you were to take down the corporate greed mongers, the man keeping us all down under the gigantic freaking callous thumb of oppression. That man, whose name is Steve. Actually, it's not. Don't worry about it. Anyway, so if you threw everything into a blender, what would happen? Because the way it's happening, there's the upheaval and the turmoil that one would expect haven't occurred because of how Trump and the Trump administration has gone after this and how they are taking to... I love it. It is so controlled. It's like these people they're going after they're fugitives, and they're in the center of a room, and they've got a knife, and nobody can go after, nobody can get close enough to get them. So, well, that's all right. We'll just close the door. And we'll be standing outside the door. And no, I mean, they, no threats, no nothing, no violence, no nothing. Just, they lock the door from the outside, or they put something to keep it shut, And, person has no way out, and, let him scream and throw a hissy fit and maybe stab the door a couple times or whatever, But, eventually that person's going to need some water. They're going to get hungry. Or maybe you could bring something they care about more into attention, or maybe you just do nothing, and, you have the video, and you just, you show everybody that, hey, this is this person, crazy bag of shit, a bucket of busted ass multicolored marbles. That person, you can show what they're all about. And that's kind of what's been happening here. But the problem is that there's so much that is not being in depth discussed, because some of these events that are happening, they're unfolding in such slow fashion. But like I said, if you follow the conspiracy theory through this, now this is what I would, and I've had this story in my head for a couple of years, but this is what I would foresee. So if we live in all conspiracy theories are true world, which, hey, whatever, then the deep state has more advanced and more plentiful technology and resources than humanity could possibly imagine, and has been militarily superior to the United States. Probably not for very long. Well, is in and of itself maybe not superior, but got to be damn close to equivalent to the United States itself, in size, strength, just resources. And I'm not talking bodies, but I'm talking ability to make shit happen. Because if you have a nuclear weapon, that can do some devastation. Nuclear weapons were a terrible, terrible blight on humanity. I mean, it's no matter what, there should never have been made an engine of death that could literally wipe out millions in seconds. Nameless and faceless. And for what? Here's what it's always for. It's always for agendas. It's never... You want to talk about the United States and us fighting for freedom? Really? Where? Where were we fighting for freedom? Now, again, not bagging on the U.S. I mean, we've done an